Now that we've completed our suitability profile questionnaire, what I'd like to focus on for the moment are those things you indicated as your primary goals. Now, if I understand correctly, your two primary objectives vis-a-vis your goals is retirement planning, and you also mentioned to me tax reduction. You're concerned about the amount of taxes you're currently paying on your income and your savings. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Here's what I'd like to do. I have this form which I find very useful in understanding my clients' objectives. And on the form, there's a list of different investment features. Call this, if you would, your perfect investment. Let's assume you've just landed from another planet and you really don't know what is or is not available, and you're now going to create a perfect investment. Kathy and Elliott, what in your mind constitutes a perfect investment? What features are important to you? Kathy, how about you first?
I think number one would be safety.
Safety? Mm-hmm. Elliott, what about you?
I like the idea of tax-free.
Who doesn't, especially based on what you just said.
Right.
Is there anything else here?
Growth.
Yeah.
You like growth?
It's important. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
We've got plenty of years before we're retired. Like to make something.
Right.
Actually, they're all pretty good.
But what are those that are really important to you? That really, if you had to put together a program and you had to select...
Inflation hedge, I like that idea.
I guess you're concerned about interest rates perhaps going up and prices going up again? Yeah, I remember
Nothing
the
forever,
70s.
yeah. Income. I might want to start drawing things...
Which makes sense because you did indicate that retirement planning is essential here, and of course part of retirement planning is to have a source of income. That makes sense.
Right.
Anything else?
I don't know. You think we have enough insurance?
I don't know. Wouldn't hurt. I mean, I think that would be...
Okay, perhaps some insurance benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. Anything else?
Flexibility. I like the idea of flexibility.
I can understand that.
I think that about covers everything.
Sure. Kathy, is that about it? Okay. Let's take this a step further. Let's assume for this discussion that there is in fact something out there, which may or may not be the case, that will in fact incorporate all of these features, which in turn will help you achieve your goals of retirement and tax savings. Now, as with anything in this world, there's no free lunch. And let's assume, therefore, for this discussion, that we have this program, and now we're going to fund this program every year, let's say, for a minimum of 5 years. What could you both comfortably afford to set aside each year into a program that, in fact, might have all of these features, thus allowing us to achieve your goals? What do you think is a comfortable number? Again, for about 5 years as a minimum.
I don't know. Kathy usually handles the checking account. I don't know, 5,000, you think, a year?
I would think so.
5,000?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think that's realistic.
Let's make a note of that.
Pocket money, you know.
Okay, let's note that right here. Nothing we're doing is written in stone here, but it'll give us an idea in terms of your flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, as it turns out, there is, in fact, a program which I'd like to talk to you about this evening, which will give you the benefits that you selected, that will, in fact, enable you to reach your goals, and that will, in fact, be in line with your ability to fund. And before I talk about this program, I just want to give you a little background. You know, back in 1986, there was an important piece of legislation called the Tax Reform Act of 1986. It basically took away many of the ways in which we, as consumers and investors, could save and build up our money with significant tax advantages. Mm-hmm. Well, after this period of time, really only two investments remain that had significant tax features. The first is tax-free municipal bonds, which, by the way, you have some in your portfolio. The second are what we call insurance-based investments. That's right. What the government said, they said that if you put insurance into an investment, they in turn would allow that investment to grow tax-free. Well, the insurance industry, not one to miss an opportunity, said maybe we can offer to our clients now programs that have not just the tax freedom, but also significant investment benefits. the same type of benefits that you have indicated over here. Well, at David Lerner Associates, we too saw an opportunity, and we created our own version of this, which we call the money tree. And really, what is the money tree? Nothing more, nothing less than an insurance-based program that allows us to build our money without taxes, that indeed does give us significant tax and investment benefits, which, by the way, is very, very suitable for your own particular situation. What I'd like to do now is to show you how this program can work in helping you achieve your goals and satisfy those needs. Okay?
Okay.
And I have a little form here which I'm going to work with, and it really is what it just says is the money tree too belongs in your portfolio, and indeed, let me show you why.
Sounds a little hard to believe.
Isn't that a lot of people say, how can you have all that in one package?
Right.
Let me show you. First of all, the first thing I want to point out to you is this, that the program does have tax advantages. Now, again, I go back to my illustration, and why does it have tax advantages? Because obviously, we're going to build into the program an insurance feature. And that feature will now allow us to grow our money without taxes. This is what we mean by tax-deferred accumulation. But we've gone beyond simply tax-deferred accumulation, because this program enables you to do something that your pension plan, Kathy, you're a teacher, and I know you have a 403B,
right,
a tax-deferred annuity at work. This goes even beyond that in some respects. As you know, in your pension plan, you must wait till you're 59 and a half to take your money out, and you know for certain, no matter when you take it out, you're going to pay taxes. And if you should happen to access those dollars before 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty. Well, in our Money Tree program, you can take these dollars out anytime you want and do it tax-free, without any rules or any regard to the Internal Revenue Service. It is your program, it's accessible to you, and it's accessible on a tax-free basis forever, for the life of the program. For the life of the program.
Wow.
So really what I've just said here, what I've just said here is that this program is very liquid, and it's liquid without the encumbrance of taxation. Let's, for a moment, now discuss the second point of this program, liquidity. And it means just that you can, if you want, at any given point in time, reach for the money that's in your program and use it for any purpose whenever. However, what I would like to do at this juncture is give you 3 points, 3 caveats, if you will, about what you should be aware of as you take money out of this program. The first caveat is this. Remember what I said a minute ago. I said that which makes the program tax-free is the idea that you have insurance in the program. So the first thing you have to realize is this, that at any given point in time, you always must leave a small sum in the program so that we have enough in there to keep the insurance feature in place. If you cancel out your program, you therefore have taken away that which has kept your money tax-free. So an example, suppose over a period of years you would put into the program $50,000, and the program had grown to $200,000. Well, and now you come and you say, I'd like to cancel my program. And certainly no one's going to stop you. It's your program. But of course, in so doing, there's no more insurance. And now your gain of $150,000. Remember, you put in 50, it has grown to 200, you have a gain of 150, of which you paid not a penny in taxes, but you canceled the program. And consequently, you would now have to pay taxes on $150,000. And that would be quite a big number in terms of having to send money to Uncle Sam. How do you avoid that? Instead of taking out the $200,000, you take out, let's say, $180,000, $175,000, leaving a small sum in the program. That small sum will keep the insurance in place, thus allowing you to take out that money without taxes. And of course, the money that remains in the program will continue to grow without taxes and to be available to you for some future purpose. And of course, very often people say, well, how much can I take out and how much should I leave in? As a rule of thumb, you should not access more than, let's say, 80 or 85% of what's in the program, thus leaving at least 15 or so % in to work for you. Okay? That's the first caveat. Second caveat is this. This is not a short-term investment. It's not meant to be like a checking account. What you're looking to do is to build something for the future. Now, by that I simply mean this. If you come to me in the early years of the program, meaning the second year and the third year, and you decide you want to take all your money out, I'm going to show you a loss. Even though your program might have done very, very well, the people who manage your money will in the early years impose a penalty for early liquidation. And that penalty will actually wipe out your gains, and again, I will return to you less than you put in.
What is the name of the company that insures the...
That's a wonderful question, Elliot. You're basically saying, which insurance company do we use?
Yeah.
And I'd like to spend some time with that momentarily. And what I'm going to do is make a note over here about the company. And I'd like to explore that with you in greater depth in just a moment or two. Sure. May I do that?
Sure.
Terrific. So going back to the point of the second caveat, make sure you do not liquidate the program in the early years. That's the second or third year. You're going to look at a loss. Does that mean you can't reach for money as you need it in the early years? Of course you can. The third caveat is this. Remember, we're going to have an insurance feature in the program. What you must be aware of, as you take money out of the program, the insurance benefit will decline dollar for dollar. Although you will see as we get into the numbers, there's a lot of insurance relative to your cash, so that even though the insurance benefit is declining, there'll always be a very significant insurance feature to this program, and therefore allowing you to draw money out without really impacting the program. So those three caveats you must always be aware of. Okay? Any questions up to this point? Can I help clarify this a bit for you? Kathy?
I don't think
Elliott?
so. It's pretty clear.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. The next question is this. Where does your money go? If you're putting money into this program, it must go somewhere. And of course, it goes indeed somewhere. What we have here are 21 different investments. These are 21 different mutual funds. Let's take a minute and see what kind of funds we're talking about. Growth funds, aggressive growth, bond, managed, money market, intercontinental, asset management, index 500, gold and silver. There's enough here for the most fastidious investor. And the nice thing is that you can always move your investments whenever you want to move them. So you can put some of your assets here, some here, some here. If on Wednesday you no longer like that mix, you can change that mix at any time. As a matter of fact, we have a 22nd choice. And then we call that our guaranteed account. It's over here, you don't see it. What's the guaranteed account? It's like money in the bank, where you put money into this account, and the principal is guaranteed. That is to say, the program will always go up, but it'll go up because you're earning an interest rate. You see, here, what we're looking to do basically is to earn money, but also to grow our assets. And therefore, there'll be times when it's increasing, and there'll be times when it's decreasing. But in the guaranteed account, your money is guaranteed. And consequently, you know that's a safe harbor. That's a good thing to have, because if at any given point in time you are unhappy with this, or you feel you want to just park your money into a safe place, you can do this in the guaranteed account. And then once you want to now come out of the guaranteed account and reallocate your money into these variable accounts, you can do that. So clearly, this is what we mean when we talk about investment flexibility and control. You make the decisions, and you determine how you want to manage this program. I might also add...
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry, Ellen.
See the flexibility over here, very low, in other words...
Yes. What these dots indicate is that a dot to the low side tells you it's very conservative. A dot to the high side tells you it's very aggressive. Exactly. Okay? By the way, every 3 months, the managers of this program will send you a statement, and it'll show you exactly how each of your investments are doing at any given point in time. So you're very, very much kept aware of the performance of your program.
And you did say that at one point in time, if we were, say, choosing more conservative groups, we can switch and go into maybe a higher
Absolutely.
risk.
The ability to
Okay.
allocate your assets according to your wishes at any given point in time is totally within your control.
Very good.
Okay? Now, of course, the next question is this, and perhaps the next point is this. What we now talk about in terms of professional money management. And what do we mean by that? We're really saying who's watching the store. And in this case, I'm happy to tell you some of the most prominent and most successful money managers in the country are watching these investments for us. You may recognize some of the names. Newbold, Sentinel, Provident, Fidelity, the largest mutual fund company in the world, having literally hundreds of billions of dollars under management. Neuberger, Van Eck, 20th Century, Van Eck, Merrill Lynch. Who hasn't heard about Merrill Lynch? These are the managers who collectively manage literally billions and billions of dollars, who watch these funds and try, of course, to get the best results possible. And their history has been exceptional. In fact, what I'd like to do at this juncture is show you how they've done in the past. Now, I should add here very quickly that past performance is no guarantee of future results, but it's always nice to know you're with a company that has good past results. For our purposes, let's look from inception. You know, I can always pick out a good year, but how have they done over the good times and the bad times? And if we look at this, it'll give us a good idea. Looking just at the growth accounts, 12-6, 11-7, 8-5, 10-4, 12-5, 14-11, 14-6, and so forth and so on. They've had a very, very good record, and these are the folks who are managing your mutual funds, which you in turn control and pick. And of course, another layer of supervision and management here, of course, are the folks over at David Lerner, including yours truly.
And that's all tax-free, huh?
That's tax-free, too, indeed. Every time you get a statement, we get a statement. In fact, we get interim information so that we are always in touch with you so that your program is always working.
So if I had a question, I could call you, Marty?
Absolutely. And more often, I'll be calling you just to let you know how your program is working
I like that.
and advising you
Keeping us updated.
all along.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay? So this is what we mean by professional money management and also investment flexibility and control. Can I answer any questions regarding these two features?
I don't know. There's so much information over there. It's,
Well, do you understand the information? That's important.
I did when you said it. It sure sounded good.
Great, great. I'm glad to hear it. Well, then let's push on. Let's push on.
Sure.
All right? Let's now take a look at the life insurance protection. Now, this is, needless to say, a very, very important feature of the program. All right? Now, the first thing I want to point out is that the life insurance that we're going to build into this program will go to your heirs on a guaranteed tax-free basis. A guaranteed tax-free basis. What we're saying here is this. No matter what happens to these investments, the insurance benefit is guaranteed to be there. So if for some reason we have handled these investments poorly, that does not affect your insurance investment, which will be there regardless of investment performance and will be paid out to your beneficiaries guaranteed and income tax-free.
So that'll always be a separate entity.
Exactly, and that's the best way to describe it. Your investments are here, your insurance benefit is here, all under one umbrella, but one does not impact the other.
Regardless of how poorly I manage my money.
There you go. There you go. So you should be aware of that. And of course, the insurance is in itself an important benefit. Why? Because it provides protection against estate taxes and probate. When you die, sometimes the government and the courts and the lawyers and all the other nasty people out there want to take away your hard-earned assets you've gained over a lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, the proceeds from the insurance can very often be used to offset these costs. So that's important. As a minimum, at the very least, we know that the insurance benefit is always greater than your accumulated cash in your program. So as a minimum, on your demise, you're going to leave for your heirs an even greater sum of money and assets, and therefore you will enhance your estate for those heirs. So, and of course, the question is at this point, and you had raised it earlier, Elliott, the company. Who is the company?
Forgot about it.
Well, the company that we use here is a company called Provident Mutual. Provident Mutual is a company that's been around since 1865. It's a date I remember because it was the end of the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And they are licensed in every state in the United States of America. And they're a very large entity. Why? Because they have $4 billion of assets under management. They have underwritten $65 billion of life insurance. They are rated AA by Standard & Poor's. They are rated AA by Duff & Phelps. And they are A+ superior by the national rating service called AM Best & Company. Mm-hmm. So we are talking about a very, very significant entity. These are the people who orchestrate this entire program and make it available for you. So that's part of that life insurance protection. Now, what are the objectives of the program? Quite simply, we can sum it up this way. Number one, this is a wonderful program to supplement retirement and pension monies that you hope to have at retirement. As a minimum, certainly it'll create additional income and assets for you to be used not just at retirement, but as I said earlier, whenever you need it. And it's also wonderful for other things like college funding for children and grandchildren, to take a trip around the world, to fix your roof, to buy a house, to buy a business. It is only limited by your imagination. Any questions up to this point in time?
A thought crossed my mind. If things go very well and we don't use the money for retirement purposes and it just sits in there and it accumulates so much money, is there a chance that it can actually go higher than the insurance?
No, because the way the program is designed, the insurance benefit is always higher than your cash accumulation. And we do that to conform to the regulations that allow us to enjoy the benefits of this program. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right? Here's what I'd like to do. You know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And let me create some numbers here to create a picture so perhaps you can better understand the program.
That would be great.
Okay, let's do that right now. Now, what I'm going to do, Kathy, is I'm going to design the program around Elliott.
Okay.
Now, the reason for that, he is the primary breadwinner. His salary being much larger than yours is essential so that, God forbid, something would happen to him, the impact would be significant to the overall household income. And so therefore, we're going to create the program for him, but obviously you'll both enjoy the program, but God forbid, on his demise, the insurance benefit will flow to you and the children. Okay. All right? Understood. Now, you are age of 47, Elliott, correct? Okay. Using your age, here's what we're going to go with. The first thing I'm going to look at is this. I'm going to assume for this illustration a rate of 10.5%. Now, that's an assumption that may or may not be realized. Now, the reason I'm using 10.5, if you remember, you've seen rates of 12 and 14 and 11 and 14. So that's doable. And with good management, we feel that we can realize 10.5%. So for this illustration, I'm going to use the 10.5%. Now, we have a young man of 47 years of age.
Thank you.
Now, for this illustration, I'm going to use an annual contribution of $10,000. Now, let me carefully say to you that you can design the program however you want. Mm-hmm. You can put in make it a larger program or a smaller program. And you can structure the program any way you really want to. But to make life a little simpler for us, I'm going to use $10,000 a year. I might add that suppose you want to do $5,000 a year, well, the numbers are going to be ultimately half. You want to put in $20,000 a year, then the numbers are double. So $10,000 is an easy number to work with. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to fund your program for a period of 5 years, and we're going to put in $10,000 a year. Well, by my calculation, that would be $50,000 having been placed into the program. Now, our objective is to grow your money immediately tax-free. So that means on the first day, not in 5 years, but on the first day, you will have an insurance benefit that's going to be $375,000. That starts on the first day. Again, we want the money to grow tax-free starting immediately. All right? These are our parameters. Now, let's see what happens after 5 years. After 5 years, Kathy and Elliott, you'd have in this program approximately $57,000. You put in 10, a second 10, a third 10, a fourth 10, and finally, in the 5th year, the last 10, and you look at your account sheet, given this assumption, you have $57,000. Now, let me ask you this question. The fact is that you can continue to fund it if that's your desire. You can start drawing out income or principal immediately. You can wait and just let it grow and perhaps access your money down the road when there's more there by virtue of its growth. Or you can use the money intermittently as the needs arise. Here's what I'd like to ask you. Let's go with the assumption this is your program. You funded it, you have it, you've had it for 5 years. Elliott, you're now 52. Kathy, you're age 50. And now you're 5 years into the program. What do you think you might do if you had such a program? Kathy, how about you? What do you think you might do after 5 years?
Looking at the rate of growth within that 5 years, I would consider putting in more money.
Elliott, what about you?
Well, that's not a bad idea, but I think I would keep what I have in there at least, so it could
Absolutely.
earn more, and because we won't need them, hopefully I'll be making more, and we won't need that money by then.
Okay.
Right.
The beauty of this program is that any one of these decisions are perfectly fine because only you and you alone determine how you're going to manage the program at the time you want to make that decision based on your needs at that time and into the future.
Right.
That's the beauty of the program. Now, therefore, obviously there are probably hundreds of ways you can manage this program, and time doesn't allow for me to go into hundreds of ways, but let me at least show you 2 options that you might have, just to show you how the program might look under those options. Example. Kathy, let's suppose you stop putting money in after the 5th year. You put the program away into your safety deposit box and decided you're not going to fund it anymore. Okay? Well, let's take you 10 years down the road. And now, of course, Elliott, you would be 57. Kathy, you'd be 55. Well, in 10 years, the program would have grown to $83,000. Now, remember, it has grown without taxes, and you've always had access to that money for any purpose whatsoever. And also keep in mind that that is off the original $50,000. We haven't added a penny into it. And also remember, there's always that $375,000 insurance that allows us to happen. Okay, let's take you 20 years down the road. Now, Elliott, I'm putting you into retirement. You'd be 67. And, of course, 20 years down the road, the program now has grown to $199,000. Kathy, you're 65, you're 67. And, of course, that's, again, off the original $50,000, money always available for any purpose whatsoever. This is an option. Certainly, if you continue to add into the program, needless to say, this would be significantly greater. Okay, let's look at another option. Let's suppose you decided you wanted to take an income stream, which you can begin at any time, stop and start based on your needs. But let me show you an income stream. In this example, at the 5th year mark, you'd be able to take out approximately $4,000 a year, tax-free, for your entire life. That's without, in this assumption, touching your principal. You'd still have the 57. So all we're drawing down is the growth in the income from the program. If we waited until, let's say, the 10th year, when your program had $83,000, well, that number becomes about $5,000 a year for the rest of your lives. If we waited until the 20th year, that number now becomes $12,000. So obviously, the longer you wait, the more assets you have, and therefore the more you can draw down on. But what's important is to recognize is that these assets are always there for you because we're not even touching this. We're just drawing off the income and the principal.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Any questions on what we've just done here?
I think I have pretty much a handle on it.
Terrific, terrific. Then here's what all we have to do at this juncture. What we have to make a determination is this. Does this program meet your goals and satisfy your needs? That's key, because that's why we just went through this little exercise. Now, when we started this discussion a few moments ago, you had said to me you were concerned about safety, tax freedom, you wanted growth, you said you wanted an inflation hedge, you mentioned that income was important, you said insurance might be significant to you, and you mentioned flexibility. Well, the reality is this program meets all of these needs, and in fact, if you had checked off each one of these, you would have quickly found that every one of these features is an integral part of the Money Tree program. As a matter of fact, what I'd like to do is just take a minute and review that with you. Example, Kathy, you were the first one. You said, I want safety.
Mm-hmm.
Well, safety here comes in many different forms. First of all, remember that guaranteed account? Here's a place to put money, and you know your money is absolutely safe. And in the guaranteed account, you can't get less than 4% interest. So even if interest rates dive, you know the minimum is you can get 4%. And remember I said to you, no matter what happens to the investments, the insurance is guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And also I mentioned to you about that we have some significant money managers who manage your money. That gives us an added degree of safety. I also said to you that your assets are diversified. That gives us an added degree of safety. I spoke to you about Provident Mutual, a company that's been around since 1865 that has billions in assets, some of the highest ratings in the industry. That's another level of safety. So safety is obviously a very important part of this program. I also mentioned to you that the program is tax-free for the life of this program, not until you're 59 or any other age. So to the day you die, this program will be tax-free, and it can be used anytime you need it for any purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Liquidity. Well, again, you can take the money out as you need it, again, for any purpose. Keep in mind, though, as I said earlier, you do not want to liquidate the program in the early years entirely, because then I will actually show you less than you put in. But beyond that, the money is there for you anytime you need it. High rate. Well, if you wanted to put your money into the guaranteed account and just get a rate, the rate today is 5%, which is somewhat better than the banks are paying today, and it is tax-free. And historically, the guaranteed account, the rate has been historically high. Well, I can't guarantee that, but we do know it can't go lower than 4%.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you were going for a rate, it would be a nice place to put your money. But of course, here we also have the added benefit of growth by virtue of investing in these accounts. And if you recall, the managers of these accounts have done exceedingly well. So there's a history here of significant growth. And of course, I've also tried to demonstrate that as I showed you these numbers here,
Right.
which I think you'll agree with me, this is significant growth. Would you agree?
Definitely.
Okay. And then, of course, something you didn't check, but I'm going to talk to you about it. You know, we live in a very litigious society. Everyone sues everyone else, unfortunately. Well, here's an investment that if you should be sued and have the misfortune of losing a suit, you could have all your assets attached. You could lose your home, you can lose all your bonds and your stock.
Right.
Well, here's an investment that is free of credit to claims. They can't get at it. That's the law. Low fees. The funds that you invest here are no-load funds. When you put $1 in, $1 gets invested. These are no-load funds. Now, I should say, though, you notice it doesn't say no-load, it says low fees. Of course, we understand that there is a cost for insurance. There is a cost for insurance. And we're using the cheapest form of insurance that we can possibly put into a program like this. It's the equivalent of a term program, which means that if you put $1 in, about 10 cents of that dollar is going to go to create this insurance umbrella. But that insurance umbrella, remember, is what's going to give us all of these benefits, including the tax freedom, without which you'd be paying a lot more in taxes than the 10 cents you'd be paying for the insurance. It's a wonderful inflation hedge. I know, Elliott, you seem very excited about that characteristic. Well, what do we mean by that? We know this, that when inflation rears its ugly head, interest rates go up. And we know when that happens, the stock market goes down. Well, you are ideally positioned to deal with the market no matter which way it goes, because we know that if interest rates start to go up, you're going to move your assets from here into the interest-bearing accounts to catch the higher interest rate. But if interest rates are coming down because inflation is coming down, that means the stock market will go back up again, and now you move your assets back into these variable accounts. So you see, you're able to walk both sides of the street, so to speak. Guarantees. Well, the guarantees here, again, are significant. One, the insurance is guaranteed. Two, the guaranteed account is guaranteed, and it can't go lower than 4%. So you got significant guarantees. Income. Well, clearly what I've attempted to show you here, this is a cash cow. You can set this thing up as a lifetime of income, and you know that that income is tax-free. This can be a long-term program. This is not something that's here today and gone tomorrow. You can manage this program for the children's college funding, for your retirement funding, for your estate building plans. This program will be with you until the day you die. However, that doesn't mean it can't be used for short-term objectives. Remember, we don't have to wait until we're 59 and a half to access these dollars. So it really can be used either for long or short-term purposes. And of course, it does have insurance. Now, insurance obviously is very significant here. It's the insurance that provides the benefits, that protect the estate, that completes the program. The insurance makes the program self-completing. What other program where you're putting money in and now you die completes itself? This is what the insurance does. It completes itself, providing the dollars that would not otherwise have been there if you had lived. Of course, it's also the insurance that enables us to get all of these benefits. So clearly, you have a wonderful benefit and a benefit that makes all of this possible. Diversification, well, to your heart's content.
Right.
To your heart's content. And I might add, from time to time they expand this. They add things on to it. So certainly lots of diversification. No probate. You know, when you die, there are, again, the lawyers and the courts and the administrators and the executors, all of whom shrink that estate, the estate you've worked so hard over your lifetime to accumulate. Well, the dollars created by the insurance benefit will provide for that, but in addition, the benefits go to your heirs without probate. So this is probate-free, so to speak.
Right.
Flexibility, well, Kathy and Elliott, if I had to choose one word which describes this program, it is flexibility. And what do I mean by flexibility? You can change the funding amount. You can change how you take money out. You can change the insurance amount. You can use it for anything and everything that you want, whenever you want. This is the word that describes this program, flexibility. And one other nice little feature here, this program is invisible. That is to say, you don't have to report it on your tax return. There's no 1099s. There are no W-2s. It is virtually private. One of the few programs out there that you do not have to report it to any entity of government.
It won't affect my Social Security?
It does not affect your Social Security. And, of course, I know you have children coming up for college, and you know if you have to go for a college loan, they want to know about all your assets. This asset is not reported for college applications.
Great.
Isn't that something?
Great.
So really,
You're guilty.
listen, you work for it, keep it. And here's a way to make it grow even faster and to enable you to keep it. Okay? I think you can clearly see. Well, first of all, before I say that, are there any questions about anything we've covered from A to Z?
No, I think you've been very clear.
Thorough, yeah.
Would you agree that these features very adequately, if more so, do they not meet your goals?
Absolutely.
Just about everything I could think of. And you're right, and that is a perfect investment.
Wonderful. Then let me ask you a simple question. Kathy, Elliott, can you handle this program?
Well, we probably could, but I think we're going to talk about it. You know,
Sure.
if there's a couple of people, you know, there might be a bit more attuned. I think I want to think about it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so relieved that you said that. I thought you were going to say, I want to jump right into the program. I'm sorry. I'm afraid it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You just don't get into this program. For this program, you need to be approved.
Yeah.
You need to be approved. Here's what I'd like to accomplish tonight. What I'd like to do is to get Provident to think about you while you're thinking about them. Now, let me explain that procedure to you. You know, before you're accepted into a program like this, there are basically two things Provident looks at. They're going to look at your assets and your income, and they're going to look at your health. They want to make sure you're healthy. Well, the last thing is obvious. We would be putting them on the hook for $375,000. So therefore, they want to make sure, Elliott, you're in reasonably good shape. and that requires a medical exam. They're going to send someone to the house to do a medical exam. That process can take 2 months. Now, let me be more specific. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about doing the paperwork tonight and putting some money into the program. Now, let me give you 4 reasons why that makes sense. Number 1, by doing the paperwork tonight, we're going to put the insurance company on the hook, not in 2 months, which is how long it takes to get this thing approved, but tonight. So God forbid, Kathy, something happened to Elliott in the next 2 months, you know you have a check coming to you for $375,000. The second thing is this. Whatever the dollars you put in this evening, which are absolutely refundable to you if you don't go into the program, those dollars will start earning interest tonight. That assumes you go into the program and you are accepted. So the money starts working tonight. Number 3, it enables them to do the medicals, to send someone to your home to examine you, to get the information from your doctor, and so that allows them to do that. And 4, and most importantly, they're going to come back to us in 2 months. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to say either yes or no. Now let's look at the no. Worst case scenario. They say no, they looked at you, I'm sorry, you were not acceptable, it's over. And it is over. At that point, Elliott, I would return the check, which you put in, and that, of course, is guaranteed to come back to you. We'd have to, unfortunately, look for something else. Or they can come back and they say, yes, you've been accepted. Now the ball is in your court. You have 3 decisions to make. Decision number 1, Marty, Kathy and I thought about it, and we decided this is not for us. Okay? Whatever your decision was, that is your decision. Whatever monies you put in are guaranteed to come back to you. No ifs, ands, or buts. And we move on to something else. Or 2, you might say, well, Marty, we thought about it, but instead of going in at a program at this level, we want to do a bigger program or a smaller program. We've thought about it, and this is what we've decided to do. That's fine also. Or 3, you might say, we've been approved at this level. We'll go with the program as it's been approved. The bottom line is this. You don't make a decision until you've been accepted. That gives you 2 months to consider this program to see whether or not it makes sense. So therefore, it doesn't really make sense to get them to think about you while you are thinking about them.
That's very fair.
Elliott, what do you say?
It's okay, but why don't I give you a call on Tuesday? How does that sound?
That's fine.
Okay?
This is such an important decision that you never want to rush into anything. And as a financial advisor to you, obviously I want to feel comfortable with it too, and I want to give you enough time to feel comfortable. As a matter of fact, in saying that, let me just take another minute to make sure that we are both on the right track. When we laid this program out, you did say that these are the features that you needed. Now, can I be certain that we have met your needs?
Pretty much.
Absolutely. And that these are indeed the goals and these needs should meet. Can we pretty much say that? That's important because I want to make sure I have the right thing on the table. Before I leave tonight, I want to ask 2 questions, and then I'm on my way. Kathy, what did you like best about this program?
Actually, there are 2 things. I think the insurance offered is very impressive and very important to both of us. And 2, I think the liquidity and being able to go in and
to get at your money when you need it.
I think that's very important.
Great. How about you, Elliott? What did you like best about the
That's funny because I wasn't thinking about that at all. I like the idea that it was tax-free and no reporting.
Okay. Obviously, I see why you guys are such a great marriage. Well, then let me ask you the second question, and I promise I'm on my way. What did you like least? Kathy, what didn't you like about the program?
That's hard. It's hard to point out.
There's one thing that was kind of bothering me.
What's that, Elliott?
That's why I'd like to put it off a little bit. I think interest rates are going to start going up, and I'd rather worry about this when, at a...
Good point. You mentioned here about interest rates possibly being a concern to you. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. And let me just go back here again. You remember I said we have the variable accounts, but we also have the guaranteed account? And remember I said that's interest sensitive? So if interest rates go up, Where will that go? That's right. You see, you'd forgotten. That will go up. So we have the ability to deal with a changing marketplace so that, in fact, if rates do go up, this will go up right with it. So clearly, you can see that this meets your needs as well as helps you reach your goals. So therefore, really, doesn't it make sense to get Provident to think about you while you are thinking about them?
Well, is it okay with you?
Sounds fine.
Great. It'll take just about 8 more minutes to do the paperwork, and I congratulate you on taking a very first and important step.